Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have a start collecting video for you, focusing on one of the box sets coming out alongside Broken Realms Kragnos, that is Drycha's Spitegrove. This box set is for the faction Sylvaneth, which are our beloved tree people of the Mortal Realms. Now, as you might have guessed by the name of this box set, it does contain a Drycha Hammerthirst in it. She is a named character for the Sylvaneth. And let's get exploring into her and the other contents of the box set. So for starters, as mentioned, Drycha is a named character. She has this one build within her kit and she's a really fantastic model. She's got some really cool abilities and she's got a decent little stat line of her own. She's got 10 wounds, which is okay, but she's got a 3-up save with a 9-inch move. She doesn't fly, so there is that as an issue, but she does have some really cool abilities. So the colony of flutterflies and the swarm of squirmlings are two different attack profiles she gets that she can sort of turn on either one that she wants. The colony of flutterflies hits at a varying level from 3 to 5, has 10 attacks, 4 to hit, 3 to wound, rend 1, damage 1, and its range is, dependent on what it does, so it could be a range 18 to 6. We then got the Swarm of Squirmlings, which has a wound characteristic of either 3 to 5. As mentioned, it's just 1 damage, but it is 10 attacks. Now, on this, the Deadly Infestation rule applies to the Squirmlings, where you do mortal wounds on the roll of a 6 to hit with that. So you've got some pretty cool potential for some mortal wounds when she's got 10 attacks. Now, add into this as well, she's got her Mercurial Aspect, where she can choose to be either sort of enraged or embittered. And on the embittered profile, she can turn that swarm of squirmlings, her combat attack, into 20, or she can turn her shooting attack into 20, which can be really cool. So she can get quite a few attacks out, and all of a sudden that turns into a decent amount of chance for a quite big spike of mortal wounds. On average, she's going to do about 3.5, but there's 20 dice there. That can spike real easy and get a ton of mortal wounds out. As well, what's really cool with the contents of this box, she does go really well with what else we're getting in the box, as she allows all our Spite Revenants to reroll 1 to wound rolls for their attacks. She's got her own spell as well, which is pretty cool. It's sort of like a bravery affecting spell doing some mortal wounds. The same old thing that sort of happens for a few different things. Now, the other box set we get in this is we get 2 sets of the Spite Revenant Tree Revenant box set, and for the purpose of this video we're going to focus on what the box set is telling us to build in the Spite Revenants, but Tree Revenants, we'll talk a little bit about them now, but we won't be using them in the full video. But Tree Revenants are effectively a sort of utility unit that can teleport around the battlefield thanks to their Waypipers. They're really good at sort of harassing around the table and having some teleport abilities. Now, Spite Revenants, on the other hand, are really cheap. For 5 models, it's 60 points, which is dirt cheap. Now, they don't have the teleport ability, but they do have quite a few attacks on them. They've got 3 attacks base, and they've also got an ability where they can do some Battle Shock, sort of muck around with our opponent's Battle Shock, providing some negative benefits and also making our opponent reroll tests as well. Now, Spite Revenants aren't inherently that great, but there are some ways we can really buff them up to really start looking pretty nasty. And we're going to be doing that over the course of the video, especially at the list at the end. So, with that said, let's see how we can expand upon this box set next. So, what we're looking at next in this box set, I think the Arch Revenants are a really cool thing to bring into the force. You can find this as Druanti, the Arch Revenant, on the Games Workshop website, if that's what you're looking for. And he's got a pretty cool ability. First of all, he has a command ability that's just +1 attack. This is awesome. It's just going to give our Spite Revenants more attacks, which is what we're trying to do. They get better as they get more attacks, because they're just going to have... It's weight of numbers here of what we're going to try and put those Spite Revenants in. Now, he also has some abilities that do affect Kragnos hunters as well. So, he's got that potential in his War Scroll as well, with the ability he has called Champion of Kragnos, where you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Kragnos hunters near him. So, that's another cool ability. Speaking of that, Kragnos hunters are definitely something we're going to look to bring in. They bring a ton of utility to Sylvaneth. They're one of the best units you got in the book, if not the best unit you've got access to in the book, and they can fill a variety of roles. So you've got 3 different weapon options, all of which float around the same points value. So there's not really too much to worry about with that. But what we're doing with these is you can either have them with bows, which is pretty cool. That gives us some ranged option. You can have them with swords, which do mortal wounds, or you can have them with the scythes, which are just heavy damage. All of these have varying different abilities and different options, and it's really up to you what you want them to do. I think sometimes Sylvaneth do lack that ability to do some decent range shooting, so Kragnos hunters can be really great shooters, but they also lack an ability of having a true sort of hammer, and Kragnos hunters also fill that role very well. So it really depends how you're going to want to use them as to what weapon upgrade you're going to do, and it might take you a few games to figure out how exactly they work best for you. Now, moving on, we've got the Branch Wraith. She's a fantastic model as she has some access to some cheap and efficient summoning, where she can bring some Dryads to the field for us along with her summoning. She's also a wizard, which gives us access to just other spells. Now, her summoning is based on a spellcast, and she's not going to get an awful lot of pluses and bonuses to cast, but it's cool to have. And Sylvaneth wizards are really good because they do affect our terrain piece, the Awakened Wildwoods, in how they play. Lastly, I'm going to recommend Skaith's Hunt. Now, Skaith's Wild Hunt is one of the Warhammer Underworlds warbands. It's currently in the Beastgrave box set, though soon it should become available separate as we move into a new season, and that season sort of ends and we finish up there. And Skaith's Wild Hunt would be an interesting pick. So, they have a spell on their War Scroll. They're not a hero, but they do have access to magic. So they have a spell which gives +1 a wound. This can make our Spite Revenants, particularly in certain builds, be a pretty decent profile, where they will be 3s to hit rerolling 1s and 2s to wound rerolling 1s. Suddenly, their lack of range isn't that much because you're going to be getting a lot of your hits through, and we're just trying to generate as many possible hits here to just get damage through via weight of numbers. So they're definitely a cool option in there. They've also got the ability to run and charge and run and shoot, so they've got some cool ability to play around the field as well. And they do a little bit of damage, but nothing too significant, but they're going to do a role that not many other things in the faction do. And so here we have a little sample army list we've put together for a Sylvaneth force based off the contents of this box set. So to start with, we're going to be playing in Dreadwood. Now, Dreadwood gives us a few different things, but most of all, it gives us reroll hit rolls of 1 to hit from our Spite Revenants in Dreadwood. So this is really just going to take the models we've already got here, we're using from the box set, and just make them that little bit better. What's cool about this is we also get a command ability that effectively gets us the True Revenant's ability to take units off the table and redeploy them around the place. This is obviously needing a hero to do so, to allow our units to teleport, but it's giving us some of the utility that we get with the True Revenants there as well. The command trait really isn't too much as reroll successful battle shock tests around our general, and the artifact is subtract 1 from wound rolls, which is pretty nice. Only for melee weapons though, but you know, they can keep our heroes alive a little bit longer, so a defensive artifact is always nice. Making your opponent reroll wound rolls is also just much better than rerolling hits. So, speaking of leaders, and the person who's going to have both this command trait and the artifact, that's going to be our Arch Revenant. He's going to be our general. The reason why we're choosing him to be our general is so we get these artifacts and stuff like that, but also what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to give us access to have our general fly, because he has the little bug attached to his back so he can fly, and this means he can sort of float around the battlefield and get his buff off where it needs to be. Now, the Spite Revenants, we're going to have 2 units of 10, so you might even pick up 2 of this box set though, depending on the cost, and sell off one of your Drychas. But the Spite Revenants, we're going to have 2 units of 10, and these are going to be sort of our main sort of units, going in, trying to kill stuff on just getting massive attacks out. The Arch Revenant's going to be able to pump them up to 4 attacks each. The Skaith's Wild Hunt's going to be able to buff them, so they're going to be like 3s rerolling 1s, 2s rerolling 1s with 4 attacks each. So hopefully they can do a little bit of damage. We've got 3 Kragnos Hunters, and for this force, I really do think that the bows are going to be a great piece to have within the force. It's just going to have that little bit of shooting, chip damage that we can get away to help keep our Spite Revenants out of protracted combats, because that is something we definitely do not want to be doing with Spite Revenants, is getting them in long, drawn-out combats, because they will die really easily. You're wanting them to go in, fight something, and kill it off. So our Kragnos Hunters are here to shoot stuff, whittle them down so our Spite Revenants can come in and finish the job, or to knock off the last model so our Spite Revenants are free to move. Skate's Wild Hunt is the last piece, and then not only for his spell, but just the unit, having an extra unit on the table is always nice. This just allows us to travel around the field and just do different things, and just have another piece to play with to grab objectives around the table. So I think they offer quite a bit. An extra command point in there, rounding out the last 50 points of the army, is really cool, and it also means we can make sure that the Arch Revenant's going to have the ability to use both his +1 attack and the ability to teleport units where they need to be as well. Though, what do you think of this Sylvaneth box? What do you think of Drycha and Spite Revenants? Have you run them before? What do you feel on them? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of the Sinful Gaming community, you can do so by following the link to our description in the video below. While you're on YouTube as well, why not go check out the featured channel section on my page, where you'll find a bunch of other fantastic Warhammer Age of Sigmar content creators, putting out everything from battle reports, painting videos, tactical tutorials, and more besides that as well. Lastly though, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you to our patrons: Christian Witt, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lyle, Outer and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Augustin Andreas, Lopez Diaz, and Anthony B. And thank you to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Fire Titan, Steve T, The Real Zeop, and Chris Wallace. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the absolute world to us. And if you'd like to help support the channel like these fine people do, you can do so by following one of the links to either Patreon or YouTube members in the description of the video as well. Thank you all for watching though. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.